David's story begins in Bethlehem, where he was the youngest of 8 sons of Jesse. He grew up as a shepherd, tending his father's flocks in the fields. While his brothers were older and often engaged in other pursuits, David spent countless hours alone, learning to care for sheep and trusting God for protection against wild animals like lions and bears. This shepherd's life shaped David's heart, preparing him for the challenges he would face as Israel's future king. At this time, Saul was still king, but God had rejected him due to his disobedience, and Samuel was sent by God to find Saul's replacement. Following God's direction, Samuel arrived in Bethlehem, where God had chosen one of Jesse's sons to be king. Jesse presented his 7 older sons to Samuel, but God revealed that none of them was his choice. Samuel asked Jesse if he had any more sons, and only then did Jesse mention David, who was out in the fields with the sheep. When David appeared, God spoke to Samuel, saying, "Arise, anoint him, for this is he." In front of his family, David was anointed by Samuel, and from that day, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. Although he was anointed as king, David returned to his role as a shepherd, knowing that his time to rule had not yet come. David's life soon intersected with King Saul's in an unexpected way. When Saul began to suffer from a troubling spirit, his servants suggested music to soothe him, and David's skill as a harpist was known. He was brought into Saul's court to play his harp, and his music provided peace for the troubled king. David's humility, skill, and character quickly gained him favor in Saul's household. While David was in Saul's service, a new threat emerged: the Philistine giant Goliath, who challenged the Israelites to send a warrior to fight him. The men of Israel, including Saul, were terrified, and for 40 days no one accepted Goliath's challenge. Sent by his father to bring provisions to his brothers at the battlefield, David arrived and heard Goliath's taunts. Filled with a holy anger and confidence in God, David volunteered to fight the giant, despite his youth and inexperience as a soldier. With only a sling and 5 smooth stones, David confronted Goliath. Declaring that he came in the name of the Lord of hosts, David struck Goliath on the forehead with a single stone, killing him instantly. David's victory over Goliath not only saved Israel from defeat, but also marked him as a hero and future leader. The people celebrated him, and his fame spread throughout Israel. Yet, David remained humble, returning to his duties without seeking recognition. David's early years show his courage, trust in God, and willingness to serve, even in lowly tasks. He began as a shepherd and rose to national prominence, chosen by God for a purpose much greater than he could have imagined. Applications. God looks at the heart. When Samuel was drawn to David's older brothers, God reminded him that he values the heart over appearances. God sees beyond our outward qualities and values a heart devoted to him. Faithfulness in small things. David's humility and dedication as a shepherd prepared him for greater responsibilities. When we are faithful in small tasks, God uses them to shape our character and prepare us for larger roles. Courage comes from faith. David's confidence in facing Goliath wasn't based on his own strength, but on his trust in God's power. True courage comes from knowing God is with us, empowering us to face challenges that seem impossible. Waiting for God's timing. Though anointed as king, David didn't rush to claim the throne. He was willing to wait and trust God's timing, knowing that God's plans unfold at the right time. Using our gifts for God's glory. David's musical skill brought peace to Saul and honored God. Whatever our talents, we can use them to bless others and glorify God, even in unexpected ways.